All right. Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive. We always tackle the most interesting stuff on this show,
Definitely.
and today is no exception at all.
Nope.
We're diving into the connection between faith and neuroscience.
Ooh, yeah.
I mean, can something like faith really have a measurable impact on our brains?
That is the question, isn't it?
It is, and we've actually got a scientific paper and a podcast description,
Okay.
and they both actually touch on this topic.
Interesting.
And they suggest that there really is something to this. So I'm very excited to get into it.
Me too. Let's do it.
Okay, so one thing that really jumped out to me from these sources was
Yeah.
the idea that practices associated with faith,
Mm-hmm.
like prayer or meditation,
Mm-hmm.
can actually create real physical changes in the brain.
Yeah, that's really what got me too,
Yeah.
There's growing evidence that this stuff is not just like, a
Right.
feeling you get or whatever, but like
Yeah.
it actually changes how the brain works.
So not just a sense of peace, but like a shift in how our brains function.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
It is. And the research specifically points to the prefrontal cortex.
Okay.
And this part of the brain is kind of like the command center
Right.
for decision making, for
Yeah.
regulating your emotions, for focus, all that stuff.
So praying or meditating is like giving our brain CEO a power up.
Uh-huh. Yeah, you could think of it that way.
Wow.
Yeah. Just try to imagine the calming effect of like taking a deep breath
Mm-hmm.
and extending that to the structure of your brain. That's kind of what we're talking about
I
here.
like that.
Studies show that prayer can induce a very similar state of relaxation. And
Mm.
really interesting, it can actually lower activity in the amygdala.
And what does that do for us?
Well, the amygdala is the part of the brain that processes fear and stress.
Okay.
So less activity there, maybe.
Less stress and anxiety.
Wow.
Yeah. And there's even a study that found a 15% reduction in cortisol levels.
Cortisol being.
That's the stress hormone.
Got it.
And this was after just a 10-minute prayer session.
10 minutes.
10 minutes.
So basically hitting the pause button on stress right at the source.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's powerful.
It is. And it goes beyond just stress reduction, too.
Where does it go?
Well, the sources talk about something called a neural circuit of faith.
A neural circuit.
It's a face.
That sounds kind of complicated.
It's not as complicated as it sounds.
Okay, good.
Basically, it refers to the specific regions of the brain
Okay.
that are associated with things like compassion and finding meaning and purpose in life.
So more of the positive stuff.
Exactly. And those regions become more active during spiritual practices.
Okay, so hold on. So faith practices don't just like hit the pause button on stress,
Nope.
but they also actually cultivate positive emotions.
That's the idea. And the key to this is something called neuroplasticity.
Neuroplasticity.
It's a big word, but it basically means that the brain can change and adapt.
So it's not set in stone.
Nope, not at all. And the more we engage in these practices like prayer or meditation,
Yeah.
the stronger these neural pathways become.
So it's like building mental muscle.
Yes, exactly.
The more we work it, the better our brains become at handling the tough stuff.
And finding that sense of purpose.
I like that a lot.
It's pretty cool, right?
It is really cool.
And there's another really important piece to this whole thing.
Okay, let's hear it.
The social aspect.
Yeah.
Religion and spirituality very often involve communities.
Yeah, for sure.
And I bet you can guess how that plays a role in all of this.
You're going to tell me that being part of a community is good for your brain.
You got it. Belonging to a group, feeling supported and understood,
Yeah.
can boost serotonin levels in the brain.
And serotonin is.
Well, it's a neurotransmitter that plays a key role in your mood,
Okay.
your social behavior, feelings of happiness.
Are you saying my brain actually starts making more happiness chemicals when I'm part of a faith community?
In a way, yeah, it's really quite fascinating.
It is fascinating.
These findings suggest that faith can be like a protective net for us.
Like a buffer.
Yeah, both emotionally and biologically. And it's not just about the individual practices that we talked about,
Right.
but also about that supportive environment that often comes with it.
I never thought about it like that.
It's pretty amazing, right?
It really is. This is honestly blowing my mind.
Yeah.
I mean, it really challenges like
Yeah,
the traditional divide between the spiritual and scientific.
totally.
It's like we're saying that the act of faith, the belief in something bigger than ourselves,
Yeah,
can have a real measurable impact,
a real impact.
down to like the molecules that control our emotions.
It's true.
That's crazy.
I know, and we're really just scratching the surface here.
I'm sure.
But it points to a powerful connection between what we believe
Uh-huh.
and how our biology works.
That is a profound statement.
It is.
So just to make sure I got all this right,
Yeah.
we talked about how things like prayer and meditation
Yes.
can lower those stress hormones. They activate those areas of the brain that help us focus
Right?
and regulate our emotions, and they can strengthen those pathways that are linked to empathy
Exactly.
and having a purpose in life. And on top of all that,
Yeah.
the connections we make in faith communities,
Yeah.
those can boost our happiness chemicals.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It really is.
It makes you think, doesn't it?
It really does.
Given this new understanding of the brain,
Yeah. Hmm.
how can we use this information?
Right.
How can we create practices that support
Yeah.
both our mental and spiritual well-being?
Regardless of whether we're part of a faith community or not.
Exactly.
I love that question. That's a great one to ponder.
Thanks.
And that is a perfect place to wrap up this deep dive into the world of faith and neuroscience.
I agree.
Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah.
I hope this was as fascinating for you as it was for me.
Me too.
It really makes you think about how you can nurture both your brain and your spirit.
It really does.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
See ya.